Hello. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We are in another episode of From Grind to Gold. I am your host today, LaShawn G. I am a mindset coach for former and active athletes. And I am here tonight, and we are having a great conversation with Miss Benita Fitzgerald Mosley. One thing I want to do for some housekeeping is to ask everyone if you will please turn off your cameras and also make sure your sound is off. We'll give you an opportunity to ask questions along the way and especially at the end. And just so we can keep the sound, the background noise down, we'll have you keep your volume off as well. And then if you want to ask your question versus putting it in the chat, then you're very welcome to do that. We're going to start by introducing Benita. I'm going to go through and read her bio, and then we are going to get started after that. So, Benita Fitzgerald Mosley is the Vice President of Community and Impact and President of FundPlay. She is an Olympic gold medalist and purpose-led champion in sports and business. She's responsible for stewarding league apps, partnerships with North American professional sports leagues, and their representative youth development initiatives. She also drives the advancement of Next Up community platform, and as president of FundPlay, she leads this league apps program to support youth sports organizations and foster sports experience opportunities for young people from underserved communities. Prior to joining League Apps, Fitzgerald Mosley served as the Chief Executive Officer of Laureus Sport for Good Foundation USA, and also previously worked as Chief Operating Officer for the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee and Chief of Sport Performance for USA Track and Field. Fitzgerald Mosley is a graduate of the University of Tennessee with a BS in Industrial Engineering and a charter member of the Tennessee Volunteers Hall of Fame. So we want to welcome Miss Mosley tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. I was so happy and excited to hear that another amazing Tennessee volunteer was joining us tonight, that we are in the midst of such a lot has definitely happened in the last week, but we are just on the other side of celebrating 50 years of Title IX. We're about to have world championships coming up. There's so much goodness going on. I would love for you, Benita, to just tell us a little bit more about who you are, what you do, and why that matters to our viewers and listeners if they're listening tonight.
So, yes, I'm Benita Fitzgerald Mosley. Nice to meet you, LaShawn, and nice to be here today on your podcast. I'm excited to speak with young people anytime and with you as well. Yes, I'm a Tennessee Lady Volunteer. I got the great pleasure a few weeks ago of sitting outside of Pat Summitt's statue at the University of Tennessee, where several athletes and administrators from past years got to gather and talk about the history of Title IX as it relates to the Tennessee Lady Vols and how we were very much at the forefront of women's sports, women's collegiate sports, and just to be able to celebrate that history with them and really acknowledge how a bigger role we played was really exciting. Also got to help celebrate the 50th anniversary last week with the First Lady of the United States, Dr. Joe Biden, and a friend, mentor of mine, Billie Jean King as well. My daughter got to speak with the two of those illustrious women on the stage at this event sponsored by the State Department, the US State Department. And so it's really a full circle moment for me to see not only how Title IX has impacted women across the globe, but me personally, and of course, my daughter, who's an incoming freshman at the University of Maryland on a track scholarship. So it's an exciting time indeed.
It is. Congratulations to you for being able to be a part of an amazing group of women. And even now you're at the place where you have your daughter really just stepping in those footsteps and
Absolutely.
continuing to make impact and create impact. That is amazing to hear.
I call my gold medal the gift that keeps on giving, and none of that would have been possible without Title IX and the ability to provide opportunities for girls and women to play sport. But I also got an engineering degree from the University of Tennessee, and that opportunity was opened up for women to get technology degrees and engineering and law school and medical school. There used to be very small limits on the number of women who could be part of that kind of opportunity. And after Title IX, those opportunities opened up to all women. And so as a result, just having had a career both first off in engineering, but in sports administration and nonprofit management, leading major sports organizations like the U.S. Olympic Committee. It's been a great journey. And again, it was all started for me by this wonderful law, these 37 words in Title IX.
I love it. I love it. And, you know, I really love that you honed in, because many people forget about it. You know, when you're a star athlete, when you're an elite athlete, they tend to label, right, as you're an athlete and that's all, you know, that's kind of all they remember. It's all they bring up. But having an engineering degree, actually being able to utilize that degree, do you find that now, as you know, as you're out of the track and field realm in that way of athletics, that people still, you know, label you as such, as the track athlete? How have you been able to really come into your own and come into your own self and identity as both, yes, what I did was compete as an Olympic athlete, and I am also dynamic, and I have this whole realm of education and experience on my plate as well?
Yeah, I think after as long as I've been in my career fields, it hasn't been a problem as of late. I believe that, you know, the Olympic gold medal is usually synonymous with my name, and I don't shy away from that. I think it's opened so many doors for me in my career and in my life. Like I said, it's a gift that keeps on giving. I met my husband as a result of meeting him through some fellow Olympians that I knew, and you know, we've been married 26 years, have two great kids, and I, you know, that part of my life wouldn't have been happening if it hadn't been for my gold medal. So I don't mind at all that that takes the forefront. It's something that makes me unique. I was the first African American woman to win an Olympic gold medal in the 100-meter hurdles, and so you know, it's historical, and I'm very proud of that. But I'm also very proud of the fact that my parents insisted that I be well-rounded. They were educators themselves. They wanted me to ensure that I, you know, went on to college and got a degree in something that I would never have to want for a job. I only stayed in engineering for 5 or 6 years after I graduated from college, but it did definitely, having that experience, helped to prepare me for all the other jobs I had later on. And so I'm just very thankful to have had that experience, to have had sport to really give me that strong foundation, and now have built upon that to make a strong and successful career off the track as well.
I love it. I love it. I love that you're able to still combine the two.
Yes.
A lot of times women, and I speak as a female mindset, discipline and mindset coach for female athletes, some can tend to get stuck in that athlete realm and not branch out and not shift that mindset to say, hey, I'm dynamic. I get to utilize all of this to my benefit. And so I'm so glad that you're able to be someone who can say, yeah, I did this and it led me to this. I can combine the two and make them work for me.
Yes.
So that is awesome. You definitely mentioned how being a member of the volunteers women's track team definitely was, you guys were pioneers of, you know, the Title IX movement, and you were in the thick of it. How has Title IX, how was it before Title IX was implemented, and during and after it was implemented? How did it and has it affected your life? And how are you celebrating it 50 years later? How do you see any shifts in a positive and progressive way?
Yeah, well, I was lucky enough to not really know life before Title IX. I was alive, but by the time I got to start playing sports, Title IX had passed right when I got to middle school. So I was living in a pretty progressive county here in Northern Virginia, outside of DC, and they had all kinds of sport opportunities for the rec and parks and through middle school and high school. In fact, by the time I did gymnastics and track and field in middle school, and then by the time I got to high school, we won our fourth straight. In my freshman year, they'd already won three. So my freshman year, we won our fourth straight state championship in track and field. While I was in high school, we also won the state championship in girls basketball, the state championship in girls gymnastics. So not only did we have girls sports, we had a tradition of excellence at my high school and my middle school. And so I just got to ride that wave. There was a young woman by the name of Paula Gervin, who was a senior in high school when I was a freshman in 1976, and she made the Olympic team in the high jump and went on to Montreal to compete in the Olympics. And my high school coach told me at the time, Benita, you can make the Olympic team in 4 years. And she was the one that set that dream before me. And sure enough, 4 years later, both Paula and I were on the 1980 Olympic team. Unfortunately, our president Carter boycotted those games, and so we didn't get to go to Moscow. And I was, again, fortunate enough 4 years later to be the only hurdler that was on the 80 team to make the team again in 84, and went on to win the Olympic gold medal in Los Angeles that year. So, you know, those things are kind of, I won't say preordained, but my coach definitely could see that my talent could take me to the highest levels in sport. And I was just so thankful that she was able to inspire me in that way and open my eyes to the possibilities that lay before me. And then I was able to step into my own power and take advantage of those opportunities to excel.
Awesome. That is amazing. 2 Olympians from the same high school.
In fact, now we have 3. There's another woman who's won both the silver and bronze in the 400 hurdles. And so, yeah, we've got 3 from track and field from the same high school.
Yeah. That is amazing. And super tiny fun fact, I'm also from Virginia. And oh, wow. So to be able to, I mean, I heard stories about you when I was coming up, when I was in middle school and I first started running. And so definitely an honor for me as a Virginian to be interviewing another Virginian. So, you know, for those watching, yes, it runs in the blood.
Yeah, it does. Yes. It does. Our state can produce some amazing athletes, in particular female athletes. So yeah, we have a lot to be proud of.
Yes, I'm always very much so proud of where I'm from. I mean, I live in Atlanta now, but Virginia is home. Virginia is where I was born and raised. So I definitely am honored tonight. How do you think the impact or what the effect of Title IX has been on our women participating in sports now? I mean, so much has changed, but then there's so much that sometimes still feels the same.
Well, it is, you know, a lot of progress has been made. 12 times as many high school girls play sports today than did when Title IX was passed in 1972. However, we still haven't caught up to the same number of girls participating in sports that boys were participating in 1972. So, you know, back then, whatever number we still haven't caught up to that number. There's a million fewer, we haven't reached parity, there's a million fewer sports opportunities for high school girls than there are for high school boys in this country. So that's a huge gap. And then there's a huge gap between the amount of scholarship, athletic scholarship money that's going to young women in college versus young men. So We also look at coaching ranks, and back in the early 70s, the vast majority, over 90% of the coaches of girls and women's sports were women. And now that number is under 50%. And so there's a lot to go there. And then when you talk about girls of color, my daughter was talking about this recently. She's a volleyball player. She played varsity volleyball and club volleyball in high school until just the past year. She started to really focus solely on track and field because she felt that could get her a college scholarship. And thankfully she was right about that, but very passionate about volleyball. And for every team she was on, she was only one or two Black girls on her club or high school or middle school volleyball team. And so lacrosse or soccer or swimming, and there's so many sports that there are so few women of color represented. And so that gap for them in girls and women in sport, for women of color and girls of color, is even wider. And we need to do more to encourage and enable those girls to play.
What do you think? You've done so much with the businesses that you have participated, that you are a part of, with league apps, with FundPlay. Tell us more about those entities.
Yeah, so League Apps is a youth sports management technology platform. We enable clubs and leagues and tournaments and camps to be able to do registration and payments and communicate with the parents and players and coaches and do scheduling and that kind of thing. And so it's kind of the back office operations for the clubs and the leagues and the tournaments and camps. And we have 10 million plus users of the platform in this country. It's a startup, it's a SaaS company, software as a service company. And so it's kind of fun to be on the cutting edge from a technology standpoint, particularly my longtime background as an engineer long ago, kind of coming full circle, but to apply it to sport. And then I get to oversee our kind of philanthropic arm, which is FundPlay. We give away our software to youth sports organizations in underserved communities so that more of those girls and boys in underserved communities are able to access sports opportunities. Because when they are unable to access sport, which is fun and obviously keeps them physically fit, it helps to combat childhood obesity. But it's the other piece. It's all of the other life lessons that are learned. It's the enabling them. It's the hook that gets them into programs like these that are able to help fuel their education goals, get them into college, help provide amazing coach mentors for them. And so we want to see kids, yes, get active in sports and physical activity. We also, though, through FundPlay, are enabling more of these kids to get access to the benefits that accrue to them by participating in sports. So I get to work for this exciting, fun, very much growing youth sports management organization called League Apps, and our FundPlay initiative is very much core to the mission of our company, which is to enable more kids to play.
I do love that, and you kind of rolled right into what my next question was going to be. Does this platform make it easier for our young people and their parents to gain access? A lot of times you find that some people don't participate just because they get to a place where they want to sign up, they want to register, they want to participate, and they just don't know how.
They don't know how, they don't have the resources.
Right.
The organizations that they want to get involved with don't have the capacity to add more kids. Many of these, what we call sports-based youth development organizations. So they're not only focused on the X's and O's of teaching kids how to play sport and do that better, but the social outcomes that they're trying to achieve through the participation. And not one of those organizations I've ever been involved with in the past 6 years since I've been doing this work, first as CEO of Laureate Sport for Good Foundation and now with League Apps, every single one of them has a waiting list. Some of them, dozens, some of them hundreds of, people long. And so, yes, by providing this technology, does two things. One, it frees the time up of the organizers. So they're doing less of the office paperwork and, checking in on a hand checking in or on a Google sheet or something like that. And they're able to have the parents register their kids themselves, either through an app on their phone or online. They're able to have all of that data that there's being able to ask all the questions about, what their income level is, what their, cultural background is, whether, what gender they are, what age they are. All that data now is easily accessible. So when they want to go to a funder and say, look at the good we're doing in the community, look at the change between the kids that enter the program in the fall, we've tracked their social and emotional development, we've tracked their increases in self-confidence and self-efficacy and all of those great things that mean, yeah, not only am I better at basketball or track or lacrosse, but now I'm also stronger at school. I'm getting better grades. I'm more confident. I am more easily able to advocate for myself. And so when they can take that data and take it to a funder and see that they're actually achieving the outcomes they've set out to do, they get more money, hire more staff, more coaches, get more facilities, and they're able to then take some of those kids off that waiting list and serve more children.
Yes. What are some of the organizations that you have partnered with who actually use your software?
Yeah, America Scores is one that's a national organization that has chapters or organizations in various cities across the country, which is great. Ones like South Bronx United, who use soccer as a tool to help families through immigration and help them with education outcomes as well. You've got ones like the Philadelphia Youth Basketball League in Philly, who again are getting lots of kids into college as a result of basketball scholarships, but they're also serving the community by helping kids get better grades and develop really the skills they need to be successful in life. And so those are just a handful. We have over 130 organizations that we provided grants to, so I can't name them all,
Right.
serving over 300,000 youth.
That is amazing. That, my friends, is what you call impact. Where can our viewers, audience members, anyone who watches this now and in the future, where can they go to learn more about League Apps?
Yeah, if you want to learn more about League Apps, you can do that at leagueapps.com. That's league like a baseball league, LEAGUE, apps like an app on your phone. So leagueapps.com. And up on the menu bar at the top, there's lots of drop downs that talk about not only the technology platform, if that's an organization you are participating with and you're saying, hey, you can stop doing this on a Google sheet, or you can stop making me fill out a handwritten form every time I show up to register for the program. You can do all this on League Apps, and you can get it for free. If you're a nonprofit, sports-based nonprofit, and fit the profile. And so we love that. There's information about FundPlay on our website. There's information about a lot of the other good work we're doing with communities around the country, and a list of all of our FundPlay partners as well. So if you live in a city where where we are doing some work already, and you want to identify an organization that's low cost or free, we fund those types of organizations. That's a great way to find, oh gosh, I want to do lacrosse and I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I have a limited resources to pay for it. Let me look up and see if there's an organization that fits that bill for my child.
I love that you expand to all sports. I mean, yes, track and field is our heart. It is, where we come from. But I love that this software has been created to really give access to kids in all facets of sports. Yes. So no matter what they want to do, they still have a means to access it easily and effectively and efficiently. So thank you so much for this. I'm definitely going to put down in the description of the video, once it is uploaded onto the AAU YouTube channel, we will put the League Apps website there so that you can find out more information about this amazing platform and all of the great things that League Apps and FundPlay are doing together. I definitely want to go back into your track brain and just ask about some memories that you have. I mean, I know we all have our favorite memories of track and field, and I mean, I have stories for days. What are some of your favorite sports memories from your college days, and even your maybe your high school days, if you'd like to share? What are some of those just kind of pinpoint moments that you're like, you know what, this solidified my love for this sport?
Right. Well, people think of track and field as an individual sport because obviously when you're running or jumping or throwing, you're doing that all by yourself. But it's the consummate team sport to me because you may not be on the playing field necessarily at the same time, with the exception of the relays. We always, even at the Olympic level, aggregate a team score to see who actually wins the track meet, which team. And so winning the state championship my freshman year in high school and winning the national championship my sophomore year in college were really the pinnacle, aside obviously from winning individual championships for myself. But those team championships were so much fun. And particularly at the University of Tennessee with the Lady Vols, we were the first women's team at the University of Tennessee to win a national championship. Before the Lady Vol basketball team, before Pat Summit, was Terry Crawford and what we called the 10 that made one. And so there were 10 of us on that national championship team, and we were distance runners, hurdlers, sprinters, throwers, all came together from different disciplines to win that national championship that we're so proud of.
I love it. What was your interaction with your coaching staff at Tennessee and your teammates? What were some of the things that you really learned and stick with you from learning from the tutelage and coaching from Terry Crawford and your athletic director, Gloria Ray at Tennessee?
Yeah, it was Gloria Ray my freshman and sophomore year and maybe junior year. And then Joan Cronin came along as the athletic director, both women leading a separate women's athletic department. And to me, throughout my career, I had women's coaches in middle school, in high school, and in college, women athletic directors in college. And so I got to see it so that I could be it. And so I became chief of sport at USA Track and Field, a position that had never been held. Was a new position, but if you looked across the world at other chiefs of sport and heads of sport performance and countries all over the world, you wouldn't find anybody that looked like me, not the same gender and certainly not African American. So I think seeing them lead and so fiercely, right? They were so successful. Terry won many a SEC championship, won the national championship. She's a Hall of Fame and Olympic coach. Pat Summit, seeing her, be a force in women's basketball and a trailblazer. Joan Cronin, following the footsteps of Gloria Ray, who, was the first women's athletic director at the University of Tennessee, and then Joan followed in her footsteps and led the women's athletic department for a couple of decades. And very, very successfully raising money more than any other women's athletic department and starting new teams and building stadiums. And I mean, just a force, truly. I'm still friends with both of them. Haven't seen Gloria in a while, but definitely Joan Cronin. She was with me a few weeks ago at Tennessee. Terry, I call for advice at least every few weeks about something, or particularly when my daughter was going through this recruiting process over the past year. Lots of great advice from a coach who's recruited many an athlete about what to look for and what to do. And so anytime I make a move, I call one or the other of them to get their advice. So they've been role models for me for many years, and I hope that I've made them proud.
I love it. And I will have to say, from my experience, you are the first woman athlete who has been under the tutelage in all facets, administration, coaching, of all women. I know, for me, my coaches that I followed that I gained lots and lots of wisdom from were men. And even with teammates, they were the guy teammates, but to hear how much support, connection, just identification, right? Identifying in those different roles. Yes, I'm a woman in this administration role. Yes, I am a woman in this coaching role. It definitely gives you a boost of morale to be able to continue in those footsteps. What is some wisdom that you can give to some of our young girls who may be looking to stay in athletics, in either a coaching role or an administrative role? I mean, you've had so much support from both sides. What are some tips, some wisdom tips that you can give for those young girls?
I have had so many huge opportunities to lead organizations in my career. And it really started on the track when I was faced with this opportunity to go to the 1984 Olympic Games. I made the team and was on the track training for the Olympic Games. And after practice one day, it was a hot summer day, sitting on the track with my teammates, several of whom had made the Olympic team that summer, and with my coach. And I realized all of a sudden, I thought to myself, normally when I'm thinking about a big world championship or now the Olympic Games, I thought, oh, I hope I make the final. I hope I run fast. Maybe I'll run a personal best. But the idea of me on the victory stand, particularly not at the top of the victory stand, was always somebody else. And all of a sudden I thought to myself, why not me? Why not me at the top of the victory stand? Why not me take the victory lap? Why not me get the gold medal around my neck, cross the finish line first? And it was that moment that I claimed that gold medal and went into the Olympic Games with an expectation of winning. And so now, anytime throughout my career, I was a marketing director for the Olympic Committee in Atlanta for the 96 Olympic Games. And I got a call about applying for a job as a director of an Olympic training center in San Diego, to go from managing one assistant to managing an entire, 5,252 acre facility with, dozens of employees and thousands of athletes. The idea of that just scared the heck out of me. And I thought to myself, why not me? You have all the requisite skills and experience. You know what it takes to train for the Olympic Games. You can help athletes do that. You have an industrial engineering degree. You know how to manage operations. You've learned all of that. You've got the skills. You've got the experience. Why not me? When I was plucked from that job to run all the training centers, when I was plucked from running the training centers as a director to be CEO of a women's organization in the cable industry, I had to ask myself again, why not me? You don't know cable, you've never been a CEO, but you've been working with the Women's Sports Foundation for years, and you have been managing 175 employees and a huge budget. You can manage that same kind of thing with a women's organization, even albeit smaller even. So I had to ask myself, why not me? So I just encourage young women and girls to ask themselves that question, and men and boys as well. When faced with these amazing opportunities, why not me? Just take it on and figure it out later.
Oh, I love it. That is going to be the tagline for the rest of my life. And I hope for the rest of everyone else's life. Really, why not me? I mean, we get stuck in our heads so much. Imposter syndrome.
Yes.
Comparison.
That's the antidote to the imposter syndrome. Just throw that whole term away. Why not me?
Why not me?
Yeah.
I love it. So for all of you watching, if any doubt creeps in your mind, if any fear creeps in your mind, ask yourself those 3 words. That will be the antidote to conjure that courage and do the thing that you have been fearful, doubtful, worried about for however long you've been worried about it.
Yeah. Don't talk yourself out of these things. Talk yourself into it.
Absolutely love it. From the coaches and administrators that you've shared with us, all women, by the way. And I'm sure you've had some men assistants and support here and there. Who are some of your favorite coaches, or I guess most influential coaches that you've experienced in your life?
Well, all of my middle school, high school, college, and beyond just have been mostly women, but certainly enough men. I would say in my professional career, most of my bosses have been men, not women, and so I've been, equally fortunate to have learned from and be mentored by a number of men who've promoted me and hired me, and it helped me advance my career. So the main thing I learned throughout the time is no matter what your role is, particularly if you're in a leadership role as a CEO or senior executive, is that you can, I used to always think there had to be this separation. You can't be friends, you can't care about, you can't have a personal relationship with people who work with and for you. And I saw along the way, people just throw that out the window. I care about you as a human. I care about your family. I care about what's going on in your world and your life. No, maybe you're not best friends with them and hanging out drinking with them on the weekends, but you can have a personal relationship with your team and with your staff so that they know that you care about them, that you're along for the ride, not only during the workday, but they can count on you as a mentor and a friend to support them across their lives and beyond the time that you even work together, because people move on and do different things. And so that's what I saw modeled for me in a positive way. And I've tried to model that for myself as a leader.
I love it. I love it. And I'm sure along your Olympic travels and Olympic experiences, you've had many teammates, many experiences during that time where you've gained friendships along the way. You gained probably partnerships with those athletes along the way. Are there who are some athletes that have inspired you along the way, and especially along your journey to the Olympic Games and World Championships? I mean, it's like a family. Like you said, people think track and field is an individual sport because you're on that line by yourself, because you're on that runway by yourself, but it's very much familial. I have a lot of brothers and sisters in track and field.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, early on, it was Wilma Rudolph, the legendary sprinter. I never got the pleasure of meeting her in person, unfortunately, but was inspired by her as a youngster. She was 5'10", 130 pounds, and I was 5'10" and 130 pounds. And so I thought to myself, if, Wilma can do it, and I felt like I kind of looked like her. We had short hair. I had short hair at the time. And I thought, oh, I can, I can look like her. I walk like her. I just saw, again, if I can see it, I can be it. I saw her, and we had a poster of her on my wall in high school the whole time. But as I got into my career and was teammates with some legendary athletes like Jackie Joyner-Kersee or Carl Lewis or Edwin Moses, there were friends of mine. Carl celebrating his birthday, I think tomorrow. I'll celebrate mine on Tuesday. We were the two youngest, along with his younger sister, Carol, on the 80 Olympic team. Everybody else we were in this weird space where a lot of people from the 68, 72, 76 Olympic teams were on this 1980 Olympic team. So it was a bit of a changing of the guard with Carol and Carl and myself, but we got to learn from Madeline Manning Mims, and I got to sit at the Hall of Fame induction with a bunch of great athletes. So I saw Michael Phelps and Michelle Kwan, and I got to sit at the table shooting the breeze with Bob Beeman and Mary Lou Retton a couple of days ago. And so, those are individuals I've gotten to know through Laureate Sport for Good, Nadia Comaneci and her husband, Bart Connor, who were Olympians the same time I was, but she was so much earlier because she started when she was 13.
Right.
Donna Deverona, who was 13 years old in 1960 when she won her first Olympic gold medal. She came back in 64 as a swimmer, and she's been a ABC commentator. She's was a co-chair of the Women's World Cup in '99 that won the first Women's World Cup, our U.S. national women's team. And so, gosh, I could go on and on and on about teammates or people, predecessors, or just legends in sport who've inspired me all along the way.
That's amazing. And again, once again, I like to reiterate how you have meshed and interwoven various sports, athletes from various sports. I mean, there is a mindset that you have to have of that champion mindset. What do you think is something that you all have in common to achieve, to have, and really still hold in leadership roles, that champion mindset?
I think the word grit is not, I think, identified enough, but in order to have grit, you have to have some hardships. And when we're raising kids these days, we want to protect them from everything, wear the helmet and the knee pads and the everything else. And that's all well and good physically to make sure they don't knock their, brains out. But I think we want to do that to their heart and their soul as well. And you have to let them fail. You have to let them fall and pick themselves back up. It's that grit that you learn, the perseverance, the tenacity, that I'm going to get myself up, dust myself off, and keep on moving. And that's what I see with all of my colleagues and friends. All of the ones that I talk to you about have all experienced hardships in their lives and in their careers, and have still come out on top. And because that's life, we're all gonna have those experiences.
I love it. And it's some of the reason, or a lot of the reason, why I named this podcast From Grind to Gold. It's that's the first thing I thought about was to have the mindset of a champion. You have to acknowledge and embrace the fact that champions have to fall first before they can rise to the occasion, and get to that gold level status, that gold medal status, that elite status. There is some failure involved. There are some scratches and scars involved. Yeah. And what that does is build the resilience. It builds the strong mindset. It builds the character of a person who is going to continue to persevere, going to continue to be determined. And so I love that you embody that your friends and colleagues embody that, and that is one of the things that you continue to pass on with everything that you do with FundPlay, with League Apps. I am blown away that, again, it's not just in the track and field realm. This is for everyone. This is for everyone who wants the mindset, desires the mindset of a champion. What are some effects that you have seen emerging just in the years ahead for increased youth performance? Because again, we're talking about this grit that has to happen. We're talking about taking the shield a little bit away from the kids so that they're not in this bubble. What are some of the sports that you see emerging in the years ahead for our youth in participation? I do know, and another tidbit of information, track and field is the highest participatory sport for our young girls in middle school and high school. But do you think that is the sport that you see coming to the forefront now more than ever? Or what sports do you think are in that realm?
I'm going to champion track and field for sure. I think it is a high participatory sport. There's so many ways to get in from clubs in middle school and high school. It's generally a no-cut sport. For instance, in our high school, area, they have these Wednesday meets, and so the weekends are a little bit more selective, invitational meets. There's usually either like a qualifying standard or certain level of athlete that participates. and these meets on the weekends, but every week during the season, 4 or 5 weeks, both indoor season and or winter track, as they call it around here, because we don't have too many indoor facilities, or outdoor track, they have a series of these Wednesday district meets where you have 4, 5, 6 schools get together, bring all of their athletes, and have a full-on competition and a meet with fully automatic timing, and they're able to build it, and you see athletes come to those meets and then end up performing at a level that allows them to come to the meets on the weekends, qualify for the conference championships or the regional championships, or even sometimes cases of state championships. Those are the competitions that are kind of feeder systems for the more competitive meets. And so I love that. But I also mentioned, soccer and lacrosse and volleyball as sports where we see far too few girls and boys, for that matter, of color. And so there are a lot of other sports out there that I want to see, particularly kids of color, branch out into. And sometimes, cost is a barrier, particularly for the club and travel organizations. They can cost thousands of dollars just for the fees, and then thousands more for the travel. And so that can be cost prohibitive. And so that's why, again, I encourage those parents and kids to seek out these other kind of sports-based nonprofits that are offering a lot of these sports at free or reduced cost, so that your kids can get a taste of a variety of sports. They can figure out which ones they're best at before they start to specialize.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for providing that information for us. Again, any information that we have available to share, we will post that in the description of this YouTube video that will be housed on the AAU YouTube channel. What do you think what is the social impact program, FundPlay, at the core? And I know you said that there were links on the site that were available to tell more about FundPlay, but I would love for you to maybe give a little more insight as to how that is impacting our youth and families, so that we can drive it home how important it is for them to become involved.
Yeah. So, we are self-funding 1% of the revenues from league apps as we sell our platform to these club and travel organizations and tournaments and camps that are more for-profit companies are able to pay for the use of the license to our software. They're able to then 1% of that goes to FundPlay, so pays for the staff and pays for some of the other things, and then we do some FundPlay drives to raise additional funds to be able to fund our operations. And so that all goes to opening up doors for more kids to play. Ultimately, that's the ultimate dream. We want to see more kids benefit from the power of sport and sport participation, and by fueling these organizations that are providing free and reduced cost access to sport, by fueling them with improving their capacity to serve more kids, then the more kids they serve, the more kids get involved with sport, the more get involved with sport, the more reap the benefits of that. And so that's our ultimate goal. And so we're partnering also with the NBA, with the NHL, with Major League Baseball in their youth development programs as well, and providing access through the RBI program, reviving baseball in the inner cities, through our Hockey is for Everyone program with the NHL, and through the global junior basketball championships and other Her Time to Play at the NBA, all run their programs on the League F's platform, which allows, again, those organizations involved to serve more and more kids. So the more kids, the merrier is our mantra really at FundPlay.
I love it. I really do. I love that we are seeing this organization really expand into our underserved communities, where certain sports may not be as readily accessible. So we definitely want to drive that home. Again, also, all of this information will be in the description of the video, but keep in mind, we want all kids to be able to have access, and we want to also make sure that it is known that, in particular, our young people of color know what's available to them, know what they have access to, and really that, organizations are giving away opportunities. They're giving them away. I'm a part of a nonprofit that is serving the underserved young girls of color, primarily in track and field, called Track Girls. And to know that there are other organizations really striving to do and doing the same thing, it warms my heart. It really does. We are coming towards the very end of our time today. Is there anything else that you want to add? Any initiatives that you are heading and leading out for the summertime? Any sites that are important for us to know about that we need to go to? What are you up to going into the summertime?
Yeah, I just am excited to have the opportunity to speak with you. I want kids to play. I want girls to play, girls of color to play. And, I'm pretty much gender agnostic and sport agnostic and race agnostic for the most part, because the more kids that play across the spectrum, the better our country, I believe, will be. Sport is that universal language that allows people from various backgrounds to come together on a level playing field and learn how to get along playing sports. And if they can get along in that community, they can get along in the broader community. And I think we just need more of that today. So, the more kids, the merrier. Like I said, FundPlay is fueling that. League App's mission is to, make youth sports happen. And we want to do that in every corner of the country that we can.
Well, we are definitely advocates of League Apps, of FundPlay. We will continue to spread the word, and I hope everyone who watches, that you all continue to spread the word, that you take advantage of these amazing opportunities that are at your feet. Will continue to spread the awareness, and that's the biggest thing for me, is just having people become aware. Thank you so much. This is just a fun fact to end our conversation tonight. What's a book? I love books, Audible and hard copy. What are some of your favorite books that you're reading right now? I'm all about feeding the mind, feeding the mindset, so that you become more aware and grow wiser and wiser day by day.
Yeah. I actually knew you were going to ask me that question, so I have a few. One of them is the book Grit, of course, because I talked about that a little bit. And Spark, this one is kind of this connection of the brain and the body, the physical activity, but also the mental aspect. And there's kind of a recurring theme here. And same thing, this is from Chris Ramponi. She's a U.S. Women's National Team soccer member, called Be All In. And this is more a book for parents and how to raise kids successfully in sports and off the playing field as well.
I love it. We're going to put those names of those books in the description, because if you can find it hard copy, if you can find it Audible, hey, feed your mind, continue to grow, continue to learn, always be a forever learner. Benita, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. Can we find you on social media these days?
But I'm mostly active on LinkedIn, actually. Okay. So I do a little on Facebook and a little on, I think it's at Benita Fitzgerald Mosley, OLY, stands for Olympian. On LinkedIn, at Benita Fitzgerald Mosley, OLY. And then I think for every other platform, at least for Instagram, is at Benita F. Mosley. I think that one is for Twitter and possibly even for Facebook. But you can find me. I'm the only Benita Fitzgerald Mosley out there. So
I love it. I love it. Again, thank you so much for joining us tonight. very, very grateful to have had this conversation. I personally am going to be keeping in touch with you, and I hope that anyone who watches this will be able to seek you out, find you on social media, follow you, follow the organization and what everyone is up to there. We hope to see you in the stands, on the track, giving your amazing wisdom and sharing all that you know with us. Thank you so much. We do appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
And
Bye-bye.
everyone, thank you so much for joining us today on another episode of From Grind to Gold. And we will see you again on another live. Have a great one, guys. Good night.
Bye-bye.